everybody. Welcome to the live broadcast. I'm just like back there, dancing away because I'm trying to figure out like which button to press next. But you know how it is when I'm producing at the back end of the production. It's always like, oh, I just got to make sure that everything's okay. But anyways, welcome everybody to We Do Virtual Events Live. And if you're wondering, what is the show all about, I'm going to put this up for you so you can read it. It is a talk show featuring trailblazing conversations with global virtual event pathfinders who reimagine the traditional event experience. So if you're thinking like, I don't know, post-pandemic, I am thinking about, doing my own events, but I'm not sure, how to organize, facilitate. Oh my God, what to expect? Well, folks, today we have this panel who will be sharing this information based on their own experiences. I'm really thrilled because we actually have an international panel as usual. I try to add a little bit more pizzazz to the panel, right? So here are the 6 people. We are going to talk and discuss and have a conversation on how to successfully host your first virtual event. So if you're brand new to the show, I just want to say welcome. So I'm just going to get started because we have a lot to cover because we have 6 people with 6 great minds, 6 great wisdoms to share. So I'm going to just give you a sneak peek of who our speakers are, our presenters, and we'll be right back. All right. Who's here? If you're here, welcome to We Do Virtual Events Live. And if you're here for the first time, this is how it goes, right? If you're here watching with us live on the sideline, wherever you are, watching us on the live stage, right? This comment section. Please engage with us, not only me, but with everyone on the show. You can be on the sideline and chit-chatting about which sale was good, where do I get to have my haircut? That's really up to you on the sidelines, right? But if you're here, you want to engage with us, ask questions, drop your questions and comments in the comment section. Do say hello. Let us know where you're tuning in from so we can say a proper hello to you right back. So if you're tuning in for the first time, I am definitely Zan, and I am here, your host and producer at We Do Virtual Events Live. And today the panel will have a conversation about how to successfully host your first virtual event. So I was asked this question, like, what would a virtual event be like, right? So in this world of digital, it could be an online course. It could be a webinar. Well, webinar is boring right now. So it could be a live broadcast, live stream, virtual summit, virtual conference, all to that effect, right? Even a virtual trade show. So are you all ready to meet our 5 guest presenters? Here we go. 3, 2, 1, boom. Boop, boop. Hey, everybody. So first of all, unmute. So, in case you forgot, right? So I just want to say welcome to the live stage, everybody. I'm so glad y'all said yes to this panel because this is really interesting. We have a great mix here. So I did play a little bit of your intro, but I'm sure because it went fast, right? I just want to say take 30 seconds to do a quick introduction and let's get started. So Tina, would you start us off?
I would love to. Hey, everybody. Tina Campbell, the New York and Connecticut regional partner of Master Networks. That is a national networking organization, and I have now virtual events weekly, about 30 a week. Thanks.
Boom. Nina, you're up.
Hey. Thank you so much.
I caught her off guard.
All right. Hey, I'm Nina Sharul Khan. I'm with Popcorn, and I'm based in Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur. And we basically build Asian business influencers and thought leaders through LinkedIn. And we have a weekly training plus a weekly live show that goes on twice a week. And we train people. I think we're on live like 4 times a week. Yeah.
Boom, there you go. Woohoo! Welcome to the virtual world, everybody. And my longtime friend, buddy, Andy Luigi.
Hey, everybody. Andy Luigi. I do financial services for business owners, helping them, get their accounting, their taxes, insurance, and retirement planning in order. and I also host a lot of networking and professional development events. So I'm happy to be on this panel today with everybody.
Boom. Andy and I have a lot of stories. Some are horror stories. No, they're not. But, about virtual, about hosting virtual events. But I'm sure we'll hear a combination of all the above. Doreen is in the house.
Love your energy, Zeph, tonight. Hey, everybody. Doreen Dilger. I am a holistic business coach. I am also the founder of Women Empower Women, where we educate, support, and empower women to live their best life now. That's what we do.
Not tomorrow, not next week, now. Boom. All right. Next we have Jason goes like, I'm next. Yeah, the head shaking will work too, Welcome, Jason.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jason Giel. I own a company called Stream of Consciousness. We're a front-end live stream broadcast provider. Normally, we facilitate the virtual production and live stream production for conferences, summits, gatherings, retreats, that kind of thing. Pre-COVID, it was all suitcases and flights and rolling in with a team and gear. These days, it's much more virtual events, hybrid events, remote production, same world, but less travel, which has been fine by me, really.
Love that. So did you miss any kind of traveling at all, Jason? Like, did you miss it at all?
Yeah, we had the year before COVID was pretty fantastic and really fun, and went to some exotic places. And so, yeah, I missed it a little bit for sure.
A little bit, right? A little bit. All right, folks, let's get this started, right? So this conversation today is about how to successfully host your first virtual event. So for me, I know I may have inspired a few of our panelists right here to kind of go virtual. And one of them is really, when I really got started, I network a lot with Andy Luigi. And one of the things that I always told him, you guys just bring it online, less work, just bring it online. And I remember, just kind of pushing him. But what we're going to do here right now, folks, is we have a couple of questions that, we, the panelists, will take turns to answer. So I'm going to get started with the first set of questions, and then, we'll go from there. So question number one really is about, how to host this successfully, your virtual event. So the question is, name a virtual event that you have successfully hosted or produced, and what is one thing that has helped you define its success? So because I called on Andy earlier, I'm going to put him on the spot. And he was like, darn, me again.
Right. Well, we'll go right into it to kind of piggyback on the story that you shared. So the way I met Zeph was through virtual events. And back then we didn't have as many, but Zeph was really instrumental in taking the whole business meetup, networking, organization online, where we had a lot of different, virtual events almost every week. So definitely she was instrumental in that. And I would say that is a successful event that we had. We had multiple, at least one a week. Sometimes we would do like 4 a month. It would be very intensive. So kudos to Zeph for helping me get on this technology. And measuring success was the second point, right?
Yes.
Yeah, measuring success is all about looking at the energy that you get back from the attendees. So as much positive, unsolicited energy you get back from the attendees, to me, it's a successful event. It's all about how they feel during the event, after the event, if there's appreciation, if they're open, if they're communicating. You can see after the event if they have more energy than when they came in, and that's a good thing.
I did, in case some of you missed it, he actually stressed on the word energy because he knew I was always like pushing, wait, when are we going to do this? So yes, I love the fact that you shared this, because folks, do you want to know how far Andy and I went back before we actually, just like did a lot of virtual events? Andy, remember the time I said, try Google Hangouts? Yes,
right.
That's how long we've been in the space.
Google Hangouts,
Some of you don't even know. These were pre-Zoom days, right? When I say Google Hangouts, maybe Jason can still relate to this, but when I say Google Hangouts, people look at me like, what is that? Well, this was a platform before Zoom. So if you don't know it, yeah, it kind of dates me and Andy all the way back. Who wants to go next with this question of name a virtual event that you have successfully hosted, produced, and what is one thing that has helped you define success?
I'll go.
Sure, Tina, go ahead.
So, it's funny because I was there with you and Handy. So that was very cool. And it was the days of Google Hangouts and Periscope. I was taking a course from you, Zeph, back in Connecticut.
Yes.
But it was really, you were the one. So when the pandemic hit, I had 30 meeting in person chapters a week. So I had to quickly, the week of March 5th of, last year, the year before, I had to quickly decide. I was like, what am I going to do? Okay, we're going in Zoom. Just everybody huddle. And because I had been learning from you, I actually had been doing a once a month virtual chapter meeting. So I was practicing for 2 years, but nobody showed up to that. It was really funny, but I was practicing. So when it came along, I could do that. But how I can measure what's happened is we grew 48% in the last year. So I have now 500 and close to 520 people in the tri-state area. So that went from driving like a lunatic, an accident waiting to happen. I know, Handy, you can probably remember those days because you were with me. But honestly, it's so great now because I can go from room to room to room, and I can just be productive and not be driving all over the tri-state area. And my car has so many more miles on it, right? I mean, less miles on it right now. It's great.
I love that you shared that. So thank you. Because some of us don't think about it, right? When we say virtual events, I get it, folks. When we started, I remember Andy, me, even Doreen could probably relate to this because they all ran an in-person groups, networking groups. And I remember telling Andy, oh my God, so one of the directions that Andy does his events is like 1 hour one way, right? And the traffic is just like horrendous one way. So I used to tell him, even though you don't put deodorant on, you just don't shower, you don't brush your teeth, who cares? You're still networking and building relationships online. And I think, it took a pandemic for many of us to realize, connection can be built anywhere. And virtual events, though, is becoming more popular. Actually, it's not popular. It's been around for a long time. And Jason could probably say yes to this. But it's just a matter of, event technology has really, really improved over the years, has given us ways to continue connecting even during a pandemic. So anybody else want to add to that?
I would like to add.
Sure. Go ahead, Doreen.
So again, same with everybody else. When COVID hit, we had to really scramble on what we were going to do. And we presented online. We did the Zoom thing. And what I found out, especially with Women Empowering Women, we were about to start chapters all over the world. And we got into a halt and we had to do something. So again, doing the Zoom. But I did not realize the opportunity that we missed on meeting with people all over the world. And it has been an amazing opportunity to meet many different women. And the tribe itself, the women that are in the group are the ones that are the cheerleaders that really help support that. And that's what brings the success, and also being, coming up with different ideas and not just the boring, networking, just putting a little bit of fun to it and creating some out of the box questions for my girls.
I love that you say out of the box, right? Because now technology has given us a way and an innovative way to get more creative and think outside the box. And one of the things, so today I attended an event by one of the virtual events platform, Hubelo. So, hey, Hubelo, shouting out to you if you're watching this. So one of the things I really like is the fact that that's one corner for networking. That's one corner for life stages. That's the one corner for networking lounges. And their lounges were designed as if you're sitting on a couch. And I was like, huh? All right. And then there were breakout rooms. So, one room was like a magician was on, the other room was a comedy hour. And I'm thinking like, I'm sorry, folks. I don't mean to be mean. I really don't mean to be mean, but I'm allergic to Zoom when you say you want to use Zoom for virtual events because I feel like you're putting a lot on the table, right? You're missing out a lot because there's a lot more other opportunity. So let me quickly say hello to those who are in the live stage with us. And I see a few people here, TNTM. I really don't know who that is. Maybe you're just, your nickname. But Chris, Carmen, Zarita, Joe, thank you so much for tuning in. And wherever you're tuning in from, thank you for tuning in. And you are watching We Do Virtual Events Live. And this is a panel having a conversation about how to successfully host your first virtual event. If you are a first timer at this show, please say yes in the comments so we can say hello to you, and let us know if you actually have attended or produced a virtual event. So does anybody else want to add to that? I know we have Tina already, Doreen. Go ahead, Nina.
Okay, so basically for us, I would say we did like two things. The first thing we did was we used to have events offline for people who were promoting people to become business influencers. We were doing a lot of offline events. So when the pandemic hit, we were like, oh my God, what do we do? Okay, let's just take it online. And we started having our own talk show. And we called it Just Crash It in the local language because we knew we were gonna, screw it up. Yeah, so we called it, we're just going to crash it and we're going to give ourselves permission. So that started the whole thing. And now that I met you through another talk show with another student. Mm-hmm. So we invite people from all over the world, and some of our viewers are like 10,000, per episode, depending on who we invite. And then at the same time, we started taking, just before the pandemic, we launched our course, which was face-to-face. So we quickly kind of pivoted to making it, instead of like 2 full days, which will be Zoom fatigue, we shifted it to be once a week for 4 hours a week. And then we added the coaching element. So we kind of, just like our show, we just hacked it along the way. The show actually also means just hack it. Yeah. So we built our business just hacking it, figuring things out. It's kind of like, you don't know what's happening with the world. You don't know the technology. So you're driving in the dark at night. You're switching on the lights. There's no other light. You're just driving. You see 100 meters. You drive up to 100 meters, and then there's another 100 meters showing you the way. So that's basically how we did. So we basically just hacked it along the way. Yeah. So today what we do is we also have another show, which is, it's a show stroke training where we go live every Monday night to teach people the different aspects of how you can position yourself on LinkedIn. And we get people with amazing results. We interview them as well. So it's pretty crazy, the kind of results we get. And on top of that, in terms of sales, we've increased our price. Like, we're gonna quadruple it. And we're getting people, by the time they come to us, they're like 65% in. So the content that we produce is like a lead magnet, and it's structured in a way that it's become our sales funnel. Yeah. So that's how amazing it is. Yeah.
I love what she just mentioned here. So we're talking about how to successfully host your first virtual event, right? So many of you are just thinking like, I don't know, man, about the technology. I don't know. I can't speak on camera, But what you said here, Nina, was also, and he's laughing at me because he knows I do that all the time, is the fact that you don't have to be perfect to, even if you show up on camera, you just have to be doing enough of it and get better and good at it. And then the other things will follow, right? Because it's not about getting perfect or like, oh my God, I don't know. Well, you'll learn along the way, but at the same time, just don't wait for things to be perfect to kind of host or produce your first virtual event. I know Jason has something to say. I'm going to let him share.
Oh, yes.
Jessica's like, huh? What are your thoughts,
I can always
Jason?
come up with something.
Yes.
Your question was around an event and sort of what worked. And so the event that came to my mind is we produced a summit a week or so ago around indigenomics, indigenous relationship to commerce, and the rising $100 billion Canadian indigenous economy. And what I wanted to point to when I think about that event and what made it work so well and what made it really special, ironically, wasn't a technical thing. Like, there was also a bunch of that, but I'll put that aside. What really made it powerful for me was actually the cultural integration. It was really, the content was woven in such a way that it was really profound. It was amazing to be there. There was music, there was art, there was, we were integrating B-roll shots from outdoors. We were, it felt like an event, and it felt like a sacred event. And it was intergenerational. There was young people speaking, there was elders, there was drum circles. I felt like I was present for something that I didn't belong in. Like, I felt like a blessing to have the opportunity, even just to mix the show and produce the virtual event for it. So I think that there's all the technical things, but like really thinking about the audience and this community that produced this event with us, They really thought a lot about who are our viewers, how do we serve them, how do we reach them, why would they want to listen to that? Why would they want to sit on their computer for 8 hours and all of that? And I'm sure that they all felt really honored and left as moved as I was.
I love that you shared that, and thank you, because this is what we talk a lot about in the virtual event space. One of the things, I don't care if you're doing a webinar, live broadcast, a talk show, or a online training, an interview, any of that sort, or even a hybrid event like what Jason you produced. Here's the thing, right? One of the things is that we need to be creative and get people engaging, right? Because nobody really wants to sit down after 8 hours and still talk to you, right? But we have to keep it moving. And if you're not being creative and you're not being innovative, leveraging the technology that we have, or even the relationship, and just like what you say, Jason, it's not really 100% on the technology, or I think I hear a lot about how do you tell the story, right? So in a virtual event, you have to be creative and find a way to not only, hey, talk. It's like, oh, my ears are falling, my ears are bleeding, right? But the thing is, engage with the audience and have activities. And there's a lot of virtual platforms right now that are finding ways to get the engagement really geared up. And if they're doing hybrid events, is trying to figure out how can we create a product that we would actually involve those in-person attendees and kind of engage with the virtual attendees and kind of make it feel like they have attended an in-person event. So thank you for sharing that. So Carlos, good morning. Carlos didn't always say good morning. You never sleep and you always say good morning. So hello, Carlos. Good to see you. Welcome. Patricia's in the house. Hey, Pat. Good to see you. Welcome. And Carmen says, hi, everyone. I'm a part of Doreen's tribe. First time with all of you. Sorry, I have to look on the other side because I have 3 screens going on right now. And I have to just kind of manage, right? So we have to engage with our sightlines. All right, folks, I'm going to do a quick 10 seconds intermission, and we'll be right back.
All right. Never.
Boom. Boom. All right. So this is question 2. We're going to go around and just kind of answer this question in about 3 minutes each person. But I think, with virtual events comes a lot of challenges. And of course, we also have to figure out how do we measure a virtual event success, right? So question number 2 is, what type of metrics are important to you when measuring your virtual events performance, whether it is a success or not, right? Do you use a specific tool? This is important, I think, for the first timers to hear, because what I've actually experienced this year while, writing proposals for clients, how would this virtual event, how would I measure? I'm like, first of all, virtual events can be measured in many ways. Right. The best thing, I think, I don't know if any one of you agree, whenever you take your event virtually, there's a lot of ways to track something. How long was Andy at Jason's booth? How long did Nina chat in a lounge, right? There's ways to track that. Not necessarily in-person events. So I would love to hear what metrics are important to each of you if you actually host it, whether it's a webinar, live. So talk to your specialty. Andy?
So the metric that I developed initially was kind of what Nina was saying, you're hacking it. So the most important thing for me was to discover the topics that get the most initial response. That was my thing. If I hosted an event every single week was a test. Will that topic work? Will that topic attract people? And the way I tested it is that I would just email. I built up the email list and I would just email the date of the event and things and I would just look at the amount of RSVPs in the first 24 hours. Even if the event was a week from now, the initial response from the email was an indicator to me that the event was going to be a success. Of course, at the end of the day, when people attend, you get the final numbers, but that was the metric that I was looking at. What's the initial interest when they see the social media post, when they see the email? How much urgency do they have to actually register an RSVP and say, yes, I'll be there? That's what I was measuring.
I love that you say that, because every group or every, virtual event has its own goals and strategies, right? Strategies and goals. You have your own, so KPI, USP, whatever. So I would love to probably get from a live broadcasting perspective, because I know Nina does a lot of live broadcasts. What about you, Nina?
For us, it's exactly like what Handy said. You gotta come up with titles that's exciting, that attracts people. So the first thing you want to do is you want to come out, like a movie. You know that the film's coming, like a Marvel film. You know the film's coming out like next year. They've already like incepted you. Like the movie Inception as well. So you want to come up with that analogy, but clickbait title. But you got to deliver the promise of the title, right? So you're always testing, and we do ads as well. So we see how the ads respond. So that's one. And then once you get the people in, the more comments, how many viewers are in, how many comments are there? Because when the comments are in, and if they're really engaging, they're going to ask you a lot of questions. They're going to be talking there. They're going to be chatting there. And that kind of triggers the algorithm of whichever platform that you're on to kind of bump it up, kind of thing. So it makes Facebook or LinkedIn see that, oh, wow, this platform is interesting, this group or whatever it is. And of course, the end result you want to track as well. How many people are saying, yeah, I want to join your course. I want to reach out to you. How many meetings you have? How many people you sign up? So it's all like a funnel that you're kind of going through, kind of thing. And also from our talk show, how many of them go to our group? Because that's where our main funnel is. Yes.
I love that. Doreen, and I'm going to put you on next just because I know you recently had a virtual event. So would you share with us a little bit about what's your metrics for this event and how did you gauge its success or not?
Any of the events that I have, mine are always based on surveys. So I like to get the feedback from my girls. So again, I do a lot of out of the box. I don't like doing the same old, 60-second commercial. Here we go. I try to really get them to connect with others. And it's not always about, here's your business, here's the information, but it's how to get to know that person a little bit better. And they really enjoy the fun and the games that I put behind that to, keep that going, for people to learn a little bit more, a little bit deeper about other people. And they really open up and they have a good time. So the surveys for me are what's the most important.
I love that you said that, because one of the things I think is important is to have feedback. That's a form of engagement, right? With your attendees, with your viewers. And just like Nina, you mentioned, is about also converting them from the free to something that's paid, right? Because that's important. That's the funnel. So I'm glad that you both shared that. So for some of you first timers and you're trying to figure out like, how do I do this? Well, of course, there's always going to be the free thing. And then one of my own metrics is, of course, is, how many people are just going to hire me. And talking about hire, maybe Jason can share a little bit in the work that you do and how you do your productions of virtual events. I mean, what's your metrics and, how do you know if it's successful or not?
Well, as a company, our metric of success is that the client is happy, kind of, at a really simple level. The events that we're producing are for other people, and they often have very different objectives. So some of our clients, the objective is revenue. Some of our clients, the objective is reaching into new audiences. Yep. Some of the events we're doing a lot of multi-language events these days. So some of these events are about expanding marketplace, and breaking into new markets. Some of the events are about accessibility. We're doing lots of accessibility events, simultaneous interpretation, sign language, and like opening up the doors of access. There's sort of two metrics that I think of the most, and one is, how did I do against my objectives? At a really simple level. It might sound really, how many viewers did I intend, and where did I land? How much money did we intend, and where did we land? Just like measured against the objective, how do we do? And then the other one is maybe a little bit more difficult to measure, but I think is so pivotal, is how did people feel coming out of that event? So it's definitely on the exit survey side of things. I'm really with Doreen, and now it's harder to measure, and most of us are often a little bit lazy on that end of the event. It's like you work so hard to approach the event that to really do an exit survey or to really get some data from those people that attended is often difficult and kind of falls to the wayside. But I think getting clear about what was amazing, what did you love, what should we do more of, what didn't work, what broke, what should we never do again. The people that attended our event have that information, and we really want to chase it.
I love that you mentioned that. So thank you for sharing that, because what I heard basically, even folks, right? If you're thinking about hosting or producing your own virtual event, whether you're an event organizer, host, planner, or producer, right? Be clear on your goals, right? Because each event, each type of event, whether it's a webinar or a virtual event production like Jason does, or networking event like Tina and Andy does, live broadcasting. I mean, wow, if you don't know what the goal of the event is and why you're doing it, you can get lost in the whole, where do I concentrate first? Because the technology side of things is going to be oh, what should I do really? Should I just do the live broadcast first or then worry about the whole networking event? Blah, la, 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 la. So think about what you want to have as your main goal for creating that virtual event. Am I kind of spot on that, folks? All right. I just want to kind of go to Tina because she had such great results with all her events. And what was the percentage again? Statistics?
Yeah, I grew 48%.
48%. What? That is insane. So share us a little bit about what you did with all those events.
Well, as I said, we have 30 chapter meetings a week, and they're all virtual. And they're all different, and every group has its own personality. But the most important thing that we have is an agenda. You've got to understand, like you said, I think, Jason, you're absolutely spot on. You have to kind of, plan it out. I think that's the whole point. And handy too, you're having your topic in advance. But what's so amazing about it is it's the energy. And, Zeph, I just look at you, and I wish, that you would be running one of these for me. But, I have a group of people that are fantastic, that are regional advisors with me, and they actually help me with this. So we're talking about it all the time. How did it go? But we can tell the conversion, because if you're coming to a meeting and you're not signing up, it's membership, then, what's happening? We know. And so we talk about that on a weekly basis, and we try to keep making it better. But we also ask every time a visitor comes, what did you think? What can we do better? And, Doreen, same thing. I know exactly what you're saying, is keeping it fresh, trying to new ideas. But, we do some of that, sound, what we call a sound bite, but we're working on it. We work on it. We actually tell each other, like a Toastmasters, I didn't understand what you did. So can you explain it again? And so helping people is always the way. It's educating. And by doing that, you're educating yourselves, right? And I just want to say one thing is that I can tell by not just the people that join, we have excellent retention. We have 2.3% retention. Last year. So that told me that we were on the right track. So I think those are the metrics. If you can look at whatever your goals are, just make sure you're looking at them and make sure that, and so, basically mix it up if it's not working. I can't wait to take some of the things that you guys are talking about back with me. I'm so excited. So I'm going to be linked in with all of you guys.
I know, that's the reason why we do the shows, right? Boom, everybody. So one thing I really want to kind of piggyback on what you just said, Tina, and this is so true in the virtual world, and I think Andy is also big on this. So one of the big things going into the virtual world, doing virtual events, doesn't matter what kind. If you're first hosting, this is your first time hosting an event and figuring things out, you want to maybe include a process for educating, and also the time frame to onboard and get your viewers somehow familiar with the process, right? Because it all depends. I'm going to tell this from my perspective, because it doesn't matter where your virtual event is, how you're delivering it, you're executing delivery. It's all technology. Tomorrow's technology is going to be a whole different ball game. And if you don't take time to educate. And I know Andy, when we started in Google Hangouts, right, Andy, we always had to tell people, this is where you go, and then this is where you click. If your camera doesn't work, this is where you touch, all right? And it's just part of the process being virtual, and you just have to be patient. I've had to learn that a long way. So sometimes I work with folks who, start doing their own virtual events, and they go like, this is too much work. I'm like, really? To be successful is too much work? Really? I mean, like in the pandemic era, people didn't know how to be on Zoom, but they had to figure out anyway, right? So be mindful that you may have to also have a little bit process time for education. And I know you folks all here are probably pro education. It's more now on virtual when you go virtual because people don't necessarily know your platform, your process. You just have to kind of tell them. All right, I'm going to take a quick intermission break and we will be right back after 30 seconds.
Explore and discover with us why virtual events are becoming more essential to what you do and how you connect with the audience. How to choose the right type of virtual event for you. What kind of tools and resources are needed to produce your virtual event. How to pick the right virtual event service providers. How to monetize and profit from your virtual event. For more exclusive content, resources, and opportunities regarding virtual events, join our online community.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, this is how we're going to do it. Next, what's coming up next really is about playing a game. So I'm going to bring my folks up right here. So how we're going to do this, I'm going to be Vanna White for 3 minutes. Is that okay with you all? If you all don't know who Vanna White is, that's what's the name of the show? Wheel of Fortune? Yeah, there ain't any fortune in here, but we're going to have fun. Anyways, let me just push myself up so that we can see whose face is that? Be my logo. Okay, Tina's. All right, this is how we're gonna play it, folks. Basically, I'm gonna, ask who wants to go first. You tell me to spin, and then you're gonna answer the first question, and then we go to you pick the next person, and the next person spins and answers that question. Sounds good?
Sounds good.
Okay, awesome. So Nina, how about you start us off, and I'm gonna play. I'm gonna spin the wheel, and then you're gonna answer the question. All right?
Okay,
ready?
Got it. If I can
Here
see
we
the
go.
question.
There you go. So here's your question, Nina. Based on your experience, what is an ideal event duration in hours and or days for a first virtual conference? If you've attended one or probably produced one, maybe you have an idea of, what do you think would be ideal right now in this climate of everything virtual event?
I would say this is a virtual conference, right? For me,
Yes.
it would be 2 days or,
Okay.
Yeah, two days is good. Definitely.
What's like an average session would be awesome, because sometimes I get asked this question a lot, like, how long would a session be? Like, because I don't know, because sometimes when people do events on Zoom, they can be like very long and we have 7 seconds attention span. And by the time before we know it, like, oh, we're like Pisa Leaning Tower, right? So what do you think would be an average like session duration if it's 2-day events?
Average session, we've done like 20 minutes, we've done 40, so you could do like a mix of a few things, because you've got Dory people like me with 20 minutes, kind of thing, but it goes back to your objective of the conference. Like for us, we did this conference where everybody was talking for 20 minutes. So over the 2 days we had like about 29 speakers, and because nobody has heard of what we were talking about, being an influencer, a business influencer on social media. So it was really important to get them the big picture. And there was so many people, so it was 2 minutes. By the end of 2 days, they were like, boom, I see the whole big picture, because it was like little bite size of the puzzle kind of thing. So that was important for us. 20 minutes. Yeah.
I love it. Short attention span, people. Jason, from your experience, what is probably a good duration, like for a virtual conference or summit? And what would be like a great session time duration? Just like, yeah, Nina, I heard you right over there.
Singing on to you. Yeah, you getting this?
This is why I love the Brady Bunch, right? So, yeah.
We just I was just involved in writing a bunch of white papers, and we had a long research project with a Canadian Museums Association about that conversation. And a couple things in particular jump out. So one is definitely shorter duration than what we're used to. We don't want to do 90-minute, 2-hour, like, these long form content. So we definitely want to, break it into shorter pieces. And the core of it isn't so much about the duration of the session or even the event, but rather it's like, are we honoring the people on the other end? We're all tired of computers right now.
Yep.
And nobody is like hungry for more time in front of their monitor, like nobody. So, even on our end, we're doing like pro multi-camera broadcasts with B-roll and multi-language and lots of dynamic interplay and all that. And we're still trying to be like, do you need that extra session? Can you make it a 6-hour event instead of an 8-hour event? Can you make it a 4 instead of a 5? Like, so I think that we on the production side and as event producers just need to true up to, are we taking care of our viewers? Or are we just falling into habits of what we've done before as event producers? When people come for 3 days, we want to give them lots and lots and lots of content, but right now they're at home with their kids and their cats, and it's like a different scenario. So we have to program accordingly.
I love that. I love that reminder of we all have, short attention spans. So don't make it too long because all of our butts will be hurting or our eyes will be just like, oh. Doreen, from your experience of your recent event, what has been the feedback on maybe, if you had any, on duration of the sessions or day of the events?
Yeah, well, we did our last conference via Zoom, and what we did is we did it 20-minute chunks. So we had our first speaker at 20 minutes, the second speaker at 20 minutes, and then we took a break for 15 minutes, let people go, do what they got to do, and then we did a prize because everyone likes to give, likes to get those.
Give away a prize.
Yes. And then we just started again. So, and we did it for 8 hours. And then in between that break, the speaker would stay on and they would, if people wanted to stay on and ask questions or if they wanted to go for a break. So it worked out. It worked out well.
I love that, there's different dynamics and different deliveries in that one session. So, you keep things going and moving. So that is just like not in one place. All right. I'm going to, spin the wheel, and Nina, you get to basically pick the next person. Okay. So here we go.
Tina, because she sounds like Nina.
I don't want to answer this.
I knew it.
Woo! This is a good one.
This is
I have a lot of horror story too. So, who did you pick?
Tina.
What was your most trying experience hosting your first virtual event? Oh, I love this question because we all have something to contribute to this, I am sure.
You're muted. That's all I'll say. You're muted.
I thought she was saying I was muted. I was like, wait, I was muted. I had to check.
How many times have I said that in 2020 and 2021? You're muted. It still happens, right? And it happens with people it happens to me. It's always like a rookie mistake. But the other thing besides, people not kind of paying attention to their mute button is people that are exercising, driving, or
oh my God.
Eating, running, anything during where they're not, present, and you're watching and getting dizzy, and very distracting when they're doing something else. So, exactly. I love the exercising, the running, the person that's running in front of me. Makes me guilty. Feel guilty.
Love it. I know, right?
That's really hard. So I actually put together, I have a couple of notes. I'm sure you all have it about etiquette. So I had to put that out because it is really important. People don't realize how you do one thing is how you do everything, right? We all know that. So if you start and you're not really there, you're not present, everybody knows it. And they're like, they feel like, you're not really there. So they're not going to necessarily refer you or want to engage with you either. So that's really what I found. So I've had to put some little bit of rules, etiquette, nicely telling them how to kind of behave.
So that comes back to the educational part we talked about earlier, right? So that's where we tie this all in. So folks, if you're watching this and you're wondering like, oh my God, I have so much to do, I've been thinking about all this. That's why, like, what Nina said earlier, like just do it. And then you figure things out along the way and you just get better as you go forward. the best thing is to just get it going, do it, and then, you refine your process. I'm going to have everybody answer this because I think everyone has something to share as far as trying, because I would love to hear how you solve that problem. Doreen?
Just to extend on that, Tina, is to also tell the people in your family that you are on a Zoom. I was on a business coaching call and with a client, and her husband came in naked. Good thing that her arm was off to the side. It was like, no.
I'll get some more attendees next time.
Okay.
I hope nobody had noticed me, but I guess.
Tell your family that you are on a Zoom call.
And dogs, there's oftentimes you can't really talk to the dogs. So that's tough. Put them outside.
Oh my God. How about you, Nina? I know you're going to say something.
I have chickens at home, which are my grandmother's chickens. So they make a lot of noise. So, and that's why our show is called Just Langar, which means just crash it, because we kind of gave ourselves permission to crash it. And we're at the stage where, my chicken's at it again. They're like, where's your chicken? And sometimes I'm in my office room, which is right next to the chicken, and they go off and off and off. And I have meetings with people in the UK, and they're like, are those chickens? I'm like, yes. So my chickens have actually made it into our videos as well. Folks. Yeah, and they're the small ones. Those really cute ones, but they are noisy. So yeah, chickens. But what I do is I kind of back myself into a wall so there's no family member who will be embarrassed. Let's just put it that way.
I love that. Well, no chickens, no pets, people.
Yeah. No chickens were kind of sacrificed, and no family members were sacrificed in the process.
But Nina, this probably becomes your brand.
It is.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? I would use that. I actually have a video, and at the end, no chickens were harmed during the process of this. Kind of thing. Yeah.
I love that. Such branding. Such awesome branding. Anyways, I just want to say a quick hello to Liz, who's all the way from Malaysia, happens to be popcorn student, right? And
yes.
Hi, Nina Sharihan. Hi, everyone. Liz Pucci here from
we did have one more. Our guest kept going out, kept getting kicked out of the event. So we were like, where did she go? And then we're both online, right? And then I think she logged out like about 10 times during the show. So we were like, all right, we are going for a commercial break right now. So if you have any questions, so you got to be on the fly. And she would just log in. So it was okay. Yeah.
Talking about pets, Liz says, while I was doing a live show, I had to go downstairs. I had my neighbor's dog came out into the house and my kids screaming. Oh, that would be like a good reality show right there. Andy, what about you?
The most trying times is actually building the audience. I don't know at which point everybody entered the live event space. When I entered it, I still felt like I was trying to build an audience, a weekly audience. So the most trying times was sticking with your vision, sticking with your format, keep on improving, keep on finding the proper topics, keep on finding the right connections and people to bring in to grow your audience. So the most trying times was those sessions with a low amount of attendees, knowing that you just want to keep going for a year or 2 years. That was the toughest part. Imagine you have a virtual event, or us, it's networking. So imagine you have a networking event. There's like 2 or 3 people. Everybody kind of feels awkward. So to me, that was the most trying time, because that's when you're testing whether or not you believe in what you do, whether or not you love what you do, and whether or not you can delay the gratification. Because I've seen a lot of people trying to host live events, trying to host, bring people together, and it was all tied to trying to sell their product or trying to sell their business. So if it didn't work out 1, 2, 3, I'm not even going to say weeks. I'm going to say if it didn't work out 1, 2, 3 months, you would never see that chain of events anymore. So those that are able to do this year in, year out, are the real professionals, the real ones. So that, I would say that was the toughest part for me.
Yeah.
Love it. I love the different variety of, challenges. And for all you folks who are probably thinking like, okay, I'm glad that they mentioned this. Now I can be mindful of what to be aware of when I host or produce my first virtual event. Jason, I know you probably have a lot to share because everything is just IT and equipment with you, and anything anytime can go wrong. So what has been like the most challenging, like probably in the past 30 days or the last event? He's like, there's a long list, Zap. I don't even know where to begin.
This is easy to me.
Maybe I'll give an answer that I think my teammates won't lean into quite so much. For us, something that's challenging. So we're a virtual and remote and on-site production company. So lots and lots of equipment, yep. and for us, something that is often complicated is the variability of that many scenarios. Like we can end up in a situation where we've done this thing 50 times, but that person's laptop will not connect to that HDMI cable when it's plugged into that dongle. Like, it's just amazing how many variabilities there are. This camera doesn't like that codec if it's going into that capture card. Like, it's just, so you have to become quite proficient at quite a lot of different things and really know your equipment and really do a lot of testing in order to do something sophisticated that's stable. We can all, like, we've done lots of like wing it and see what happens, but a lot of our clients are not in a position to allow that. Right. It needs to work. It has to work perfectly. We did a project with National Geographic a while ago, and they were literally like, if you can't do this, walk away. Mm-hmm. Like, if this won't be flawless, don't even start, and I laughed. I was like, yeah, totally. They're like, no, seriously. Yeah, got it.
Gotcha.
But
it just depends on.
I have something to say. I thought you professionals have to deal with that. I thought it only happens to us. I thought only us have to deal with it.
We get the same crap, Nina. We do.
It's worse because you can get away with it.
Yeah. Because you see, we kind of save ourselves by calling ourselves that show where we're gonna F it.
I'm introducing chickens tomorrow.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing to kind of segue into the conversation that, you don't really have to be perfect, in the virtual world. But yes, you have to do your homework and stuff like that. So I'm just going to share my take on things because I remember my most horrible moment. This was in my earlier days. So Jason, you're mostly like a hardware person, right? Because you have the integration of your softwares and your hardwares because you have your equipments and all that stuff, right? So you have the backup to the backup to the backup to the backup, right? So I'm going to go right into the backup to the backup to backup for people who actually do software, people like me. So here's an example. Many years ago when I started hosting in-person events and then I just transitioned to virtual events, one of the things I remembered my first few Google Hangout session at a networking event. I love this story because it is the epic story of like a failure. Because I remember we used Google Hangouts. So we were like, oh, this is all set up. We were early with our setup, like 45 minutes early. Okay, great. We test this. Good. Okay, ready to go. And then suddenly, like 30 minutes before we went live, Google Hangouts changed its platform.
Oh.
What?
Oh.
Yes. They updated their platform. You want to hear a horror story? That was a horror story. So what I'm trying to tell all of you, I'm not trying to scare any of you. So in planning your successful virtual event, have a backup to a backup. So what I've learned these days, right? So what I'm doing right now, even though I'm streaming to multiple locations, I also have a live stage product that I actually just on standby. If all the 6 cannot, we can't go live on this platform right here, we have that as a backup. And if that doesn't work, I have a backup. So for all of you who are thinking to use like a software, to kind of like whether it's StreamYard, Crowdcast, or Zoom, have a backup to the backup, because what would happen is just like what happened to me with Google Hangouts. Like, yeah, we're 45 minutes. Yes. We got all set up. And then suddenly my intern said, Zaf, I don't know what happened, but Google Hangouts just went away. It looks so different. And I'm thinking like, What do you mean so different? Like, I don't know where that button went. I don't know why, at that time they had like lower thirds. And I'm thinking like, what do you mean? This was 30 minutes prior to going live. I sweat bullets, man. And that's what I'm, these days I'm kind of very thorough when I do my production, even though it's remote. I have a backup software to backup because I really don't know. Sometimes it's the Wi-Fi, right? So the Wi-Fi can get cut off or electricity just goes off. Then I have this. So choose products, maybe for me, those software people, right? Maybe choose a product that you can actually do it on your mobile devices. So that's my horror story.
It's like crazy in a world where Google disappeared and you're like, what? Where did it go?
It just changed totally. And I was thinking like, what happened to that button that I had earlier on? Like, where did it go? And then I had set up every attendee, like the speakers, they had their lower third. Like we have our names here, right? I'm like, where did the button go? And I'm thinking like, oh my God, this is so unreal. So have a backup to a backup. Anyways, I just want to, put this question up. If somebody is watched, yeah.
Can I just add, I really like this backup piece, and I just want to really add to have the simplest version, to know what is the simplest version of my offering that I can trim down to. If everything went totally wrong, what's the simplest? What's the easiest camera and the easiest platform that I can still deliver my thing? Because people often very excitably overcomplexify, and build very sophisticated dependencies. And it's really good to know what's the MVP version. And I think, Tina, were you going to jump in there?
I was going to say I lost power right before a meeting, so I realized that I had it in my car. My car was a what do you call it? A hotspot. So I was in my car. Thank God I had a virtual background. And then after everyone was kind of leaving, I did the whole meeting, and I said, "Where do you?" A couple people left. I said, "Where do you guys think I am?" And they're like, "Oh, you look like you're in a library." And I turned off the virtual background, and you can see the bicycles hanging. So my car is my backup.
I love that y'all just shared that. It's the truth. Think about that, right? Because anything could happen in the virtual world. And for those, I would like to say, right? So this is one of the points that I kind of saw a few people in the virtual event that I attended today. So we did talk about was a networking session, jam session. And we all talked about because there was this company out of Michigan, they were, their clientele's, they're like in an industry where the higher end, the C-suites don't really understand virtual. And that's a hard sell for them. So one of the things, if any C-suite people are watching this, or, if you're not IT tech, just give those producers like Jason a little bit more leeway, because we're dealing with technology, right? Anything can happen. It can... the Wi-Fi box can set on fire. I don't know. Somebody forgot and poured soda on it. I don't know. That could happen. So as much as we plan for a perfect production, then maybe you must know that the producers are doing their best to deliver the most perfect event. So be kind to all of us who produce your events, because that can happen because of technology. All right, we have a few more seconds here, about 3 more minutes, but I just want to go around the room to kind of ask what your take is and how do you see, because I don't want to just concentrate on in person, but I just want to say virtual and hybrid events. Where do you see the future of either one? Tina, would you get us started?
Absolutely see the networking future in virtual, but I also see having in-person mixers and social, because you've got to have that, that touch time or whatever you want to call it. But I think that, if you don't have to worry about bad food, bad coffee, snowstorms, you have to worry about any of that. And we have international people now showing up at our meetings from everywhere, from Australia to Canada's coming. And I have people that are in my region that actually live outside around the country. So I'm seeing much more opportunity. I
love that. I love that you just shared. Don't put anything out. Don't leave the money on the table. And that's what I tell most people.
Oh, yeah.
Doreen, what about you?
Yeah, I think virtually it's here to stay. And I think it's about keeping it fresh and keeping it fun, and keeping it simple and not making it so overcomplicated.
I love it. Keep things simple. I love that. Nina?
Definitely virtual for us. Virtual's here to stay. But of course, you want to have that touch points where you get to meet in person and really, really take those relationships to the next level. So we're actually thinking of a hybrid, a conference, even once a year, and hybrid as well. Definitely.
I love that. Love that. Andy?
I see definitely increase the amount of value delivered to virtual because it's a lot less expensive. But I think that in person is still necessary. You just have to do less of them and do very high quality because it's a much bigger risk to travel and go to a particular location, traveling, with COVID and everything. So I just think it forces us, if we do a great production online, then we have to do an even bigger production live because people are actually leaving their houses to come in. That's the way I see it. More virtual, but the live ones have to be more majestic,
yes, more grand, like a gala,
grand,
like
exactly.
an award ceremony, right?
Yes.
Oh, I want to go to Handy's majestic.
I know Andy's majestic event.
Soon to come.
Jason?
There's been more money invested in internet upgrades, technology, cameras, equipment in the last year than there has been in the last 30 years. People are set up now in a really new way. And a lot of people, where once producing a virtual event would have been a huge barrier, most of us have some calibration to it now. And so for me, obviously, I intend and hope and am part of, virtual events staying very alive and real for all of us. I think we're going to see a bounce back. My industry peers and I, it's a lot of people really, really miss connecting. There's something qualitatively different about the best virtual event versus an in-person picnic with 5 people. It's just so different. So I think for a little while, when COVID continues to soften out and we're allowed to, I think in-person events are going to dominate and the virtual will soften a little bit compared to what we've been seeing. And then, we're going to want to use our tech, want to use our gear, want to use our internet. We've also, a lot of communities and businesses have expanded their virtual reach now, and those audiences now demand attention. They want content, they want to be reached. We've now opened the doors, and it's tough to peel back from that. So there's a lot of impetus for us to retain some degree of virtual production and virtual delivery.
I want to say thank you all for sharing that. And I think what's important, and I'm going to share my take on this, is the fact that one of the things when I talk about virtual events, people goes I don't know, I don't want to be virtual because I love in person. But I'm going to let you think about this, right? So one of the things when I started working remotely and transition or actually evolve into the virtual world, one of the things I remember saying to people, well, here's an example of remote work, right? So you go to work after 1 hour of traffic one way, then you get to work, you actually go to the computer. Okay, so you're working from the computer. From a virtual event perspective, that's always going to be a combination. And I think the first, just like all the guests have mentioned and shared, I feel to what Jason you said, there's always going to be innovation in technology and all the technology in event tech, especially camera, all this technology. So that it's going to be here to stay. The question is, which event suits your event goals, right? So you can always use. So for me, I always kind of have a little mix. So for instance, Doreen, with your group, one of the things I see if I work with someone like you or, anybody who has that component of in-person, always, I would always recommend live broadcast just to kind of get more reach first before you pull people to the actual event and be it all majestic, like Andy said, right? So that's where I think it's going to be everybody's going to be you know what? I want to go to that in-person event because they were so great online. They're such a great community, like Popcorn Fest, and then they meet in person and everybody goes haywire. Because I remember this when I started streaming and went virtual, right? I did a lot of live broadcasting, did not know what it is. I just did it. I threw up 10 times on camera, I cried, boo-hoo, everything. I didn't care. But what happened was I started having people globally connecting to me, and then some of them traveled to the US, and we kind of connected. And remember, oh my God, it's so good to see you. I've known you forever.
Right.
That's the kind of majesticness that I think, Andy, you're talking about, right? So be mindful about what you can create and integrate. And I think this is where we live in the times of technology. And if you don't leverage it, I think you're just going to put money on the table. Boom.
Boom.
All right, everybody. I just want to say thank you all for tuning in.
Thank
you to all my guest presenters here for sharing your wisdom and experiences. In case some of you are just wondering, like, what show is this? You just watched how to successfully host your first virtual event on We Do Virtual Events live show. And you know what? Be sure to connect with everybody on this camera right here on your screen. Check them out in the engagement on social media. Connect with them on LinkedIn, wherever everybody is. Make a comment. That's how you engage post-show. All right, everybody. Until we see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Thank you for
Bye.
Bye.
Nice to meet you.
I will see you all behind stage.
Yeah.